First off, I want to say what an honor it's been for me to participate in any amount of leadership on this issue on the floor of the Senate with such incredible leaders as Senator Alexander and Senator Enzi and Senator Durbin, who have long recognized the injustice that is being done to Main Street businesses, the problems that we have in terms of states' rights and making sure that we maintain a system that recognizes the value of states' rights, the value of a state prerogative to make their own taxing decisions without interference from the United States Senate or anyone in the federal government. And as Senator Alexander has explained, when I first came to this body, Senator Durbin had suggested to his staff that they try and find out where I would be on this issue, because my predecessor, Senator Dorgan, had been very active with this coalition of leaders on addressing this problem. And his staff suggested that he might want to read the caption on the Quill case, since there was a name, Heidi Heitkamp, in that caption. The reality is that back in the late 80s, beginning 90s, we saw this phenomenon of increased catalog sales. And I don't mean Sears, where you actually had a physical presence in the community and collected sales tax, but more and more boutique kinds of catalogs, more and more competition coming from catalogs, and more Main Street businesses coming to me as the tax commissioner saying, how is this fair? How is it fair that I started my little business, whether it was a wallpaper business or whether it was a fabric business, whatever it was, people come to my store and look at my sample books that I actually have to pay for. They come to my store and test out the quality of the fabric. They take a lot number and they leave and they order it on the catalog. You know, that was a pretty horrible thing to happen to Main Street business back in the late 80s. Now can you imagine walking into a Main Street business, not only getting the advice of the sales folks there, not only listening to how the product operates and what the warranties were and all that training that these Main Street businesses have given their employees, but then to have a snapshot taken of a code, a barcode, only to have it ordered on the internet right there in the store. How discouraging to Main Street businesses. How unfair to Main Street businesses. When they're asked to support their communities, when they're asked to put the ad in the school newspaper, the little high school newspaper, or contribute to a football billboard, or contribute to the local fire department so that they could provide fire service. You think of all the things that Main Street businesses do. They're not just involved in retail, they're involved in communities. But yet those Main Street businesses are asking for not an unfair advantage, they're asking for fairness. They're asking for equity. They're asking that when sales tax rates have gone up 8-9% because the base dwindles, so you have to raise the rate in order to collect the same amount of money, and they are being basically taxed out of the marketplace through this unfair advantage that remote sellers have against them by not having the obligation to collect a tax that honestly is already owed. Now, I want to reiterate a couple points that Senator Alexander was making, because I think it is so important, because one of the arguments you hear consistently about marketplace fairness is it is a federal imposition of a tax. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is a tax that's already owed. This is a tax that is owed to the states. It is owed by the people who make these purchases, a sales and use tax. And we are doing nothing more than telling every state, if you want to pursue Main Street fairness, you have a path forward. If a state didn't want to tax remote sellers, didn't want to put a collection responsibility on remote sellers, there is nothing in this bill that requires that they do that. This is a states' rights bill, but it also is a fairness to Main Street business bill. It is a bill that would make sure that the promise of an equitable tax system in this country was fulfilled. The promise that if you play by the rules, do everything the way you should as a business, that no one's going to get an advantage over you, and we're going to level the playing field. There is no level playing field when somebody has a 10% advantage over you, simply because you actually invested in a community, put up bricks and mortar, trained a sales force, but yet you're going to be the disadvantaged one. You know, when we started this a year ago, we were joined by all manner of retailers, but I'll never forget the story of the young woman. Had a dream. She loves animals, loves pets, had trained herself in pet nutrition, had opened a pet nutrition store in Missouri, and she had, or it might have been Kansas or Missouri because it was the Kansas City area, and in her community, when you combine state and local taxes, the tax rate was 9%. And people would come to her store and they would explain the ailment or the condition of their pets, and her very excellent sales staff would tell them, we think you ought to buy this product, this is best for your cat or your dog. And she knew that when they walked out, they simply ordered it on the internet because she couldn't give them a 10% discount. And that's what happened in her business. And when we asked her, because we said, okay, you have a small internet business. You know, we have $1 million that you would have to collect too. You know what she said? I would be so happy to collect a sales tax if I had $1 million in internet sales. That would mean I was winning. And you think about this, and you think about the number of moms and pops. You know, just a couple kind of myth-breaking things, that this is going to affect truly small business. This is not going to have any effect at all on any business if you pass the bill we passed that has gross sales below $1 million. So we've got a threshold. The other thing is you're going to be subjected to millions of audits and millions of tax rates. Let me tell you, the streamlined process has proven over and over again that this is not higher math. We can get this done. And if you'll indulge me, I want to tell a story about when we did the original quill case. It got a lot of national attention, a lot of discussion about this. And I had a reporter from the Omaha World Herald call me. And he said that he had just called a major retailer to order some new shoes, or new shirts. And that retailer that he was talking to, had been very active in opposing the quill case and very active in opposing what we were trying to do. And when he ordered his shirts, and one of their arguments was, we couldn't possibly know the tax rate on that shirt in your jurisdiction. When he ordered his shirt, he ordered a size, and the person on the other end of the phone said, you know, maybe you want to check because last time you ordered it was a size 15. And this reporter said to me, if they could know my shirt size, they probably could figure out the tax rate of the jurisdiction that I live in. And you think about it, and it's only gotten easier, and one of our major retailers who is adamant that this would be the most horrible, onerous thing, offers a package for $15 if anyone wants to collect the tax. The other fallacy here, and one of the myths that I want to break, is that if I want to sell my old used lawnmower on the internet, I would be subjected to sales tax. And I think it's only natural that this body doesn't have a lot of experience in sales taxation. It's not what you do, it's what state and local governments do. It was people who have my job do, my former job. But I will tell you, there's such a thing as casual sales. If you are not in the business of being a retailer, in every state, you have no collection responsibility. So it's only retailers, only people who are in the business of retailing, and only people who have retail sales over $1 million that would have any effect. And we have streamlined the process. We have made this possible. And it is a small thing to ask for us to take an action in this body and in the House of Representatives to tell Main Street businesses that they still matter in the marketplace, and that we're going to listen to them, and we're going to do everything to get them fairness and justice in our tax system. So again, I want to congratulate the excellent leadership that has come before me on this floor on this issue, and I want to pledge once again to do everything that we can to get this marketplace fairness done in this Congress so that our Main Street businesses don't have to wait a day longer for tax justice in this country.